What's going on, everybody? This is your man, Dr. John C. Turner, aka the Professor JT. And we are here on the Doc Chat. I got some super duper doctoral students. Dejanay Askew from Indiana University, Ben Effinger from University of Laverne, and UCLA Bruin Tim Hurd. I'm so happy to have them on. We're going to start with Mr. Tim. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, Mr. Tim, what school you're at, what program you're in. Welcome to the Doc Chat.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Dr. Turner. So my name is Tim Hurd. I'm from Detroit. I am currently at UCLA in my second year in the PhD program in higher education organizational change, research around higher governance, culture, and student success. I'm also getting ready for a flight, so I might mute myself, but I am here. I'm excited to be joining you all.
Absolutely. For now, we appreciate you. We know you got to jump in and out, but it's all good. We appreciate you joining in. Miss Daisha, they ask you from the Indiana University. We appreciate you being on the Doc Chat. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your program, and where you're from.
Hello, everyone. So I'm a incoming third year. That's crazy. And so I study higher ed and pretty much everything else too. So any like DEIJ work, so like those kind of things.
I absolutely love it. I love it. And Mr. Benjamin Effinger from University of Laverne. That's in California now. California, y'all better recognize. Ben, welcome to the Doc Chat. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you do.
Absolutely. So I am born and raised Midwesterner. I was raised in northern Wisconsin. I joined the military and traveled a little bit, and we ultimately landed here in sunny Southern California. I am a second year student, just wrapping up my second year in the Doctor of Public Administration program at the University of Laverne. And my focus for my dissertation is going to be on veteran success within local government.
Absolutely love it. We appreciate your service. Hey, if you're joining us here on the Doc Chat, let us know you're here. We appreciate you, Solomon, checking in with us. We appreciate you. Let us know if you're in a doctoral program, interested in a doctoral program, what your research is. We talking to some heavy hitters tonight, and I am excited about it. Now, Tim, you have been in the program 2 years already. 2 years. Tell me what led you to go get your doctorate and what has been exciting you so much about being in your doctorate program at UCLA?
Absolutely. Appreciate the question. What led me to, so I think for me, I did this research program in undergrad. It was called the Summer Research Opportunity Program through the Big Ten. And we referred to it as SHROP. I did that my sophomore year going into my junior year. And during that time, I was like, you know what? Like this research is something that I could really do. I could see myself doing. And I was surrounded around peers who looked like me. So other students from historically marginalized communities were represented. And that was just really exciting for me, just being able to brainstorm and collab with some really dope folks. And I was like, you know what? I really want to pursue this. I had some mentors who were associate professors at Michigan State, where I went for undergrad. Very early on, pour into me, and they were like, you know, you can do it. You're a scholar, and I was like, you know what? I am a scholar. So let me go ahead and get this PhD. I was like, if they did it, I can do it. So that was really the energy I was rocking with. And thus far, it's been amazing. Los Angeles is definitely a change of scenery. Like Ben said, being from the Midwest, you know, something different. And I know Asia in the Midwest is well now. So, it's definitely a change of scenery, but I enjoy it. It feels kind of like a vacation because of the palm trees and the sunshine. But the coursework, of course, is intense. But for me, I've been fortunate to build a community that's really helped sustain me in the work that I do there. So that's really been helpful for me.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And before he goes, I just got to show how this man is doing the work here on LinkedIn through social media. Congratulations to your brother, to your dad, all y'all great educators out there in Detroit. Very, very proud of you. So tell me about
Appreciate it.
the stuff you're doing out in California outside of your doctorate program because you're killing it, my guy. You're killing it.
You're too kind. I appreciate that. Outside of my doctoral program, I've really been kind of immersing myself more in entertainment a little bit. So doing different TV shows. Dropped something with a comedian named Kev on stage yesterday. So it's really been cool. It's been a blessing. Just being able to try out different fields and seeing what different folks are talking about also outside of the academy. So that's really been exciting. And then you got the posse up. So I've been doing some creative consulting and working with the Posse Foundation, which is a nonprofit based out on Wall Street in New York. And we go to different institutions and we help
Yeah, yeah. They got some amazing posts here, and I know his signal's a little light out there because I think he's in Detroit. We ain't gonna say nothing about that, but Detroit is nice. This Midwest still out there, but as you can see, this man absolutely killing it. As you can see there, Mr. Kev on stage. I'm just impressed by the work he's doing. He's been on some TV shows out there. He's been doing some modeling. I mean, just absolutely killing it right now. So we're real proud of him. We're real proud of it. We're just bringing safe travels as he gets back home. We know he's headed back to California so he can finish that doctorate degree. So we're very, very proud of him. So we're gonna move on to Miss Dejanay Askew. You are doing some amazing work as well. Tell us why go get a doctorate and how's it been so far?
Oh, my reasons for doing it. Well, I am a first gen student, so my story is very interesting there. So I'm more than just a first gen. I'm actually kind of first legacy because I'm still the only person that is in my family that has like been so that has been to college. But I actually have a little cousin that is going to college this fall. So I was happy to just kind of mentor her through that. But I had different like mentors just really tell me, hey, like, so you are able to do this, right? So that really motivated me. But I also like the fact that doing a doctorate just really provides a life that I always kind of wanted to live, as in that you have a lot of like flexibility, as in that you could work from home, you can travel, also like you could do research and teach and just those different things. So which are things that I really love. And what I also like is how that it just gives you access to rooms that I normally wouldn't have access to,
Okay.
as in that I'm able to make system changes. And to me, that's really important. And how's it going so far? If I'm being honest, it has been wonderful. Of course, that there are hiccups because that's just life. Also, I am a Black woman, so you deal with politics, right? So you deal with all of those different things. And also, too, you just have some people that really, really just don't want to see you do well, but you have to just keep on pushing. So, but I have been so blessed. I have been able to travel so much and things have been going good.
Yeah, yeah, we love it. We love it. Mr. Tim has jumped back in here real quick. They wanted to show you some love. We wanted to make sure, kind of any final words you wanted to say, before you jump on your flight. We don't want you to miss that or be late, my brother.
I appreciate it. Yes, I wish I had more time. I had to get on this flight, but I'm just excited to just hold space with you all just for the second that I'm here. Ben, I know I don't know you as much, but looking forward to just reach out and connect and learn more about your story. And Deja, I know we folks, writing partners and stuff, but if y'all want to do a collaboration, and then you, Dr. Turner, I appreciate you putting this on and being able to shed light. There's different trajectories towards the PhD. There's not one set way. And I think it's really important to show up as your full authentic self in the spaces that we enter. So I'm always an advocate of that. And yeah, I'm just excited. I'm gonna look at the recording and see what y'all talk about just to take notes myself because I'm a student. I'm a lifelong learner, informal and formal. So I'm
Yeah,
excited to hear how the conversation goes. And I appreciate you having me on for the second.
we appreciate you. And of course, you're welcome back on, because I'm going to have to get y'all back on when it's all said and done because it's
Yeah,
probably going to be a little different after this recording. It was like, look, Dr. Turner, you had us on then, but I got to tell you some stuff now. So I appreciate you. Definitely,
good,
definitely. Be safe, man. Definitely
cool.
be safe now.
Appreciate it. All right, y'all take care.
All right, now. So let me see here because we got to get back to the future Dr. Askew here. This is always my favorite part. So you killing it right now as well, killing it out here because I think the thing with people when they see you is you got quite a story. and you are sharing that story in an amazing way. So tell us a little about the research you're doing and this amazing program you put on in the fall at IU.
So if you keep scrolling that, there's actually a magazine article that where like I was in Bloom.
Okay.
So I basically put on a trip for these high school students that are local, and I just basically brought them to the school to where like they could just learn so really just how blackness looks that when you are at a mostly white school. So I pretty much got the vision and I just literally went to work on it. And also the kids loved it. They had so much fun. So I actually plan on taking this forward to where I will now host about over like 200 kids because this
Wow.
first year it was only 20. So now it's going to be a lot of them, and then so they will also be going all over campus. They will like be meeting faculty, so I have been partnering just with the different silos to trying to like just get everyone to just unify and to just really show these kids like, hey, like you are able to do so many things, because that is something that I noticed that youth are struggling with at times, is that just not having the mind to think that they are able to do certain things, but really they could do anything. So that's kind of what this trip is for.
Okay.
So that was one of my biggest things. And also, y'all, I just got an article out, so you need to read that. It is about grad student strikes. So make
Let
sure
me
you
see if I can
read
get
that,
there.
because Hunty, they messy. Okay. So you need to read
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And something I wanted to touch on, let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah. You've been traveling a
it. And
little
my
bit.
YouTube channel, yes.
Let me see if I can get
So
that
I
pulled
am
up.
a new
Hold up.
vlogger. I'm sorry.
Let me see if it'll follow up just a little bit. Tell us where you've been. See if it'll pull
So
up
that
here.
vlog was
Dun, dun,
from
dun.
California.
Be loud out here. Loud.
I know exactly where
Let's
that's
see.
at.
Yes.
You're down at the harbor in San
That's
Diego.
out there. Yeah, a little bit buffering
I was in
here.
San Diego. And
Okay,
if you
so
can
what
show the video,
conference
that's
was this?
okay. But that was
Yeah.
AABHE. It's the American Association for Blacks in Higher Ed. Um,
Yeah.
I would say that was probably one of the best conferences in my whole life. I had so much fun. So much fun. Met some great folks. And I have been to NASPA, that was in Boston. I've been to, it was AAC and U, which stands for the American Association of Colleges and Universities. So that was in Vegas. Um, and also last year that I have went to Ghana, and I have also went to Mexico. So I do a lot of traveling. Also, this coming up year, I am going to London. That is for a conference. And yeah, so I just been on my like conference game. I've been going.
I love it. Absolutely love it. We appreciate you being on. Hey, if you checking out the Dr. Chat, I got future Dr. Dejanay and future Dr. Benjamin here. They are here talking about their doctorate journey so far as they are in the fire of their doctorate programs. And you know, I have to get it to my guy, Ben. He is my cleanup hitter tonight. He is bringing it home. So tell me, why go get a doctorate? Why even go through this fire as you started during the pandemic? And how's it been so far?
So I am a public servant at heart. I served almost a decade in the military, and when I got out, I knew I wanted to continue to serve. And getting my MPA was really the foundation of that, because that opened my door to local government. But then continuing on to a doctorate of public administration, really because I wanted to teach, train, and mentor the next generation of public servants, right? And the DPA program that I'm in is really focused on becoming a scholarly practitioner. So not only doing the research in the classroom, but then taking that research out of the classroom and putting it to work in my chosen field. So that was really what drew me towards University of La Verne, much smaller university in the foothills, northern Los Angeles County, but just a really close-knit community. My cohort started with 14 of us, and we're down to 11. We've lost 3 through attrition, just to this point. But I love the fact that it is an in-person, hands-on program. We're in the classroom. We're doing coursework. We're getting all the foundations set to be able to move on to do the comps and then get onto my dissertation, which I am chomping at the bit about because I really got excited. The person that I've selected to be my chair challenged me in an ethics course in my first year to explore a topic that I'm passionate about, but I wasn't really focusing on that as my trajectory for my dissertation. But then once I poked around and played with it in that ethics course, it really lit me on fire. And that's where I'm headed. And she is lined up to become my chair. So we're going to take that energy and we're just going to keep it on rolling right into that dissertation process.
I like it. Let's get you pulled up here. Kind of check out the work you're doing on LinkedIn now. I'm telling you, man, this brother be posting so much. I can't even keep up with him. I'm telling you. We want to say as well, happy belated birthday. Found that out through LinkedIn, sir.
Thank you.
Hope you had a good weekend there. So tell me kind of what is your motivation to be so engaged in social media? And Dejanay, keep this in your mind because I'm going to come back with this question too. Because this is what really connects me with you all, because you're taking the doctorate program to another level. So Ben, kind of tell me what keeps you saying, I want to tell people about this. And what's making it interesting is people are paying attention to what you're doing as a doctorate student right now.
Absolutely. And this really goes back to what I just left off with, right? Is really that journey of becoming a voice for veterans in local government and really, embracing that identity and carrying that forward. So I work with folks, that are transitioning out of the military and really working with them to kind of figure out what they want to be when they grow up. And I'm proof positive that I was a cop in the military and I transitioned with a skill set that I didn't really know I possessed until I translated it and converted it to local government skills. And I have an amazing toolbox that I can use it on a day-to-day basis. But that's going to be supplemented by this doctorate degree. And in doing this doctorate degree, I am a walking, talking, living example of how veterans can be successful after they take the uniform off. But I also enjoy telling my story and my challenges of the doctoral program. I didn't have to go through the Veteran Success Center to get my accommodations when I got to the classroom. My cohort, I was very open with them day one. Combat veteran, PTSD. This is where I would like my seat to be in the classroom. So I'm at the highest point. I could see the door. I was very transparent with folks right off the jump. And that helped me really embrace the learning process and lean into it, which shows that these environments where there's a lot of people and there's things happening and there's heightened stress, don't have to be things that we run away from, but we can run towards still.
Just absolutely incredible. Dr. Whitty is shouting you out. We appreciate you always tuning in, Dr. Whitty.
Thank you for your service.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, we are loving the fact that we have these great future doctors on the Doc Chat. And going back to you, Dejanay, as I said, what makes you say, I want to do a vlog and I want to let folks know what's going on in my journey from going to the conferences, from your articles? What's making you say, because that's not the norm for doctorate students, honestly, to do that. What makes you say, I want to be different and stand out that way? Because we know you are the healed scholar, the celebrity scholar, all those. I love it. I'm the king of hashtags out here, so I absolutely love it.
Yes. So this is a funny story. So I actually stopped using all of social media about 5-ish years ago.
Okay.
So all I have is just really like LinkedIn. Like I don't have Facebook, I don't have Instagram, I don't do any of that because if I'm being honest, it was like bad for my like mental health.
Yeah.
But however, YouTube to me was just fun. That I just somehow just really got this vision to just really start documenting my journey. So not only for others, but really just for me. But what also made me want to be different is just to show folks too that being a PhD doesn't have to be miserable, that it could be fun, but it is also to what you like make of it. That
Ah, there you go.
that really just the way that I approach things is that I like work super hard, but you know what? That I also play hard too. I love to travel. I love to eat. I love to have me a good old time. And that's exactly what I do. To like just show folks that you don't always have to be writing and reading, that you can have a life. And really you should, because you have to have a balance. Like that if you don't have a balance, if you don't have fun, if you don't have a life, you cannot do it. It's just that simple. And also I think YouTube is just also a hobby. So I am not always doing like academic work too, because you also need things that are not just reading, writing, research, that you need to have other things. But I also just wanted to show people that, again, you can do this. It is fun. It is absolutely what you make of it. And also too that it is very attainable,
Yeah.
and that I just don't see myself as the typical made up doc student. Like as you can see now, I have on my like fake lashes and all that stuff like that. Like that's just what I do.
Yeah.
Um, and just to show folks like, hey, like I'm a human being still.
That's it. That's it. Ben, what are your thoughts as far as staying engaged and not actually being that normal doc student?
It comes back to identities, right? I'm a full-time employee, I'm a full-time husband and father, I'm a full-time student, and I'm trying not to lose my mind, right? So depending on what space I'm showing up in my life, I've got to take off one hat and put on another, right? And there are times and places for those things. And quick sidebar, my wife just finished her doctorate last year, and
Yeah.
she was actually in the third year of her program finishing up when my first year started.
Wow.
So we were actually both in it. She was at the finish line almost, and I was at the starting line. And there was just something about it. Like I was feeding off of her energy from almost being done. And I remember, when she got that diploma and just that, attending her graduation ceremony, and that just fueled my fire even more to want to do this. But I understand I'm not a traditional doctoral student, right? Like I'm not on a scholarship where I'm just doing 100% of that and traveling and conferencing and doing those things. I do some of that as well, but I'm kind of the off the beaten path, non-traditional doctoral student because I've got the full-time gig. I've got professional organizations that I'm a part of as well that tie back to my studies, but it's all kind of interwoven into this just overall person, right? So it's at any given time, I can switch. We could be talking about something that I do for work and I can quickly relate it to something that I do for school. And then all of a sudden I can tie in a story about my 13-year-old and I can be a human, right? I don't have to be a robot that's just, digesting material or, worried about, the 9 to 5, right? Like I can be a human being and I can be authentic about being a human all the way up to, I got therapists and that's real, right? Like I got somebody I talk to on a regular basis,
Yeah.
because this you learn some things about yourself through this process and putting yourself through this meat grinder.
That's correct. That's correct. We're here on the Doc Chat. Future Doctor Askew, future Doctor Effinger. if you want to let them know some tips on what they should be prepared for as they get ready to go into those comps and go into those dissertation writings and all type of things, because as I told them before and as I learned before, coursework is easy, dissertation is hard. But future Dr. Ben jumped into something that I want to go back to Dejanay about, and tell me about what the life is as far as you're in this doctorate program, you're on the campus, you're kind of trying to figure this thing out because you really weren't, let me say, and unfortunately, a lot of us, we're not privy to what this doctorate work is about. So tell me about actually being in it, because you're a single woman or, dating at the time and different things. What is that like? Because I actually thought PhD meant pretty horrible dating because it just didn't work out for me. Dating didn't work out for me at all. It just didn't while I was in my program. So, what is it like for you, as that young Black woman on that predominantly white campus? How are you kind of dealing with all of those different types of things?
Oh, that's such a good question.
I want it. We
Okay.
want to hear on the doc chat. We want to hear about it.
So when it comes to dating, if I'm being honest, now I'm gonna just be straight up. I don't have no dating life. If I'm being honest,
I know
that
it.
I prefer that
I
way,
didn't.
right?
Yeah, I didn't
That
either.
I get asked out all the time, but I just be like, leave me alone, right? And if I'm being honest, it's really just because I have a focus and I have a work ethic that's very unique. And I just think, and also that I also believe in God. So God, your higher power, just whatever that you use. But I will say God, that I believe God has put me on a path that where he needs me to be focused so I can finish school first and then when I'm done with school, I will start to date. But in terms of like just life, being a Black woman on a mostly white campus is difficult. I'm not even going to sit here and lie, especially up at IU. It's 4.5% Black out of like 50,000 kids. I mean, that is deep. Okay. So some things I've learned is you have to learn to navigate politics. Like you just have to. You have to learn to navigate it, but you also cannot let it suck you in because you don't want to change who you are. So you have to find your community. I think what has helped me, and this is something I learned from my first year, is I had to learn the hard way. Is my first year of spring, I took 5 classes. I had an assistantship. I taught 3 classes.
Oh,
And then I was prepping to travel to all these different countries. And yeah, I was busy and I was burnt out
yeah.
because I think I've been trained to think, oh, if you work super hard, then you'll have everything that you want. But that quickly hit me in the face because as a PhD student, that is something people try to make as like the norm. As in where my cohort mates will be like, oh, I have stayed up till like 5 a.m. and I was writing until 6 a.m. I'm like, girl, you crazy because I was in bed, okay? But I was in that bed, okay?
Right.
But what I've learned is you have to have a life. You have to have the balance and you have to be rested. I don't care what nobody say. You need your 8 hours of sleep. You need 3 meals. Oh, I put up 4. You need 3 meals.
Hey, you need some snacks. You need some snacks in there.
You need some snacks. Like you have to listen to your body and you have to listen to your mind.
That's right.
So
That's
this
right.
process for me has been enjoyable, but I would say that this like my second year that I just finished up is when I learned my lesson. So I had to implement those boundaries and things like that because this process could really eat you alive, but only if you let it though.
That's right.
Now,
That's
if you
right.
strong and if you like keep your faith, if you keep yourself balanced, if you like, get your rest in, then there's nothing that you cannot do.
Right.
But you cannot function that if you're exhausted, that if your like mental health is bad, like you just can't.
Yeah, yeah, and it's true. It's true. We appreciate you, Dr. Whitty, talking about that dissertation process. I'm telling you, it is no joke, and we are proud of you for getting ready for your final word of defense. You're going to pass it. You're going to do well. Everything's going to come together for you. We appreciate you checking in. Now, future Dr. Ben, you are what we would consider in a way that kind of non-traditional doctorate student. Plus, you're at a smaller campus. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even know where that school was when when I first met with you. I was like, okay, so they got doctorate programs there. That's good. So, kind of tell me about what it is coming in, family man, military man, full-time working man. You already said there's cohort members that have kind of fallen off because if we be honest, that 50% is real. You can look right next to you and be like, only one of us is probably gonna be here. That's real. So how are you kind of working through everything, having everything together in your life, but saying, I'm gonna push through this no matter what?
Yeah, it's reality set in kind of the first week of class because we had a professor that was very blunt and said, we only admit 14 into a cohort at the max, and our success rate is 60%. So 60% of 14, that's 8, right? So 8 out of the 14
Already know
is going to get to the finish line, right? So that was a gut check in and of itself. And then inside, I'm like starting to measure folks up. I'm like, okay, who are the 6 going to be, right? So I'm trying to figure out, like trying to hedge my bets to figure out if I'm going to be one of the 8 or one of the 6, right?
Yeah.
But that was what I needed at the beginning because it was like challenge accepted, right? Like you're going to put it out here in front of me. You're going to tell me what the odds are. Okay, I got this, right? Mm-hmm. And that has helped me semester after semester just come back because I carry so we carry in the cohort program three classes per semester. So I got 9 full semester hours each. And I go to classes on Saturdays all day. So I work during the week and my classes are all day Saturdays. I have a morning session and an afternoon session.
Days a day both went, ooh.
Right. So my homework time comes after the kids are in bed at night or on Sundays. Right. So I've got a very, and I agree 100%. I need my sleep. I need my exercise. Right. So try to get to bed by 9 o'clock. The alarm's going off at 4:45 in the morning. I got to get up and do life. Right. So that balance is super important. And it caused me to really define some boundaries. And that was probably one of the biggest things that I learned in my first 2 years was figuring out what those boundaries had to be and what the non-negotiables were and being honest with myself and honest with others in communicating those boundaries. Right. Because if you're a true friend, you're going to know I'm not blowing you off. I'm not, avoiding you. I'm just be honest with you, right? And say, look, this is in the driver's seat right now. So no, I'm not going to be able to go to all the functions you want me to go to. And no, I'm not going to be able to do all these different things, right? It doesn't mean I love you any less or I don't care about your family or whatever, but I can't make the driveway birthday party. I can't go to the pool party. I can't do these things, right? Because I got stuff I got to take care of.
That's right.
Right. And it kind of becomes that prioritization, right? And I still, when I jumped into this, my wife was like, your plate's already overflowing. Like you got to get rid of some stuff off your plate to put this on. And I had to make some compromises, right? So I had to kind of scale back a little bit on my active mentorship with like transitioning vets, which then got me more into, okay, well, maybe I can post more on LinkedIn and still get the message out, but I'm not doing it on a one-to-one basis. I'm just getting that message out to be consumed, right? Instead of booking an hour of mentoring time, I can get it, spend a quick 10 minutes, pop a post up and then just keep moving, right? So I had to find the areas that I was willing to trim the fat and then just be really methodical about maintaining those boundaries.
That's incredible. Future Dr. Dejanay, future Dr. Ben here on the Doc Chat. And I'm telling you, they chopping it up right now, giving a real talk about how it is being in these doctorate programs. We're going to go back to future Dr. Askew because I'm telling you, I don't even got to write these questions down or anything. They're just flowing right now. This is just incredible because now the question I want to ask, and future Dr. Ben kind of jumped into it. What has been some of the most, how can I put this? kind of amazing and weird conversations you've heard being in a doctorate program, maybe from family or from friends? And if you could look back, even you just starting a couple years ago, starting a while back, looking at where you're at now, what would you say has been the most mind blowing thing about being in a doctorate program right now?
And we started with me. Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, I feel like it's so much. If I'm being honest, as a first gen student, also another thing to learn that I was actually adopted at birth too. So I have just a interesting story. And really, if you would have told me that when like I was a kid that I would be here, that I would honestly think that you were crazy. Because I just never would have imagined that my life would really be what it is now. But the most mind-blowing thing I think about what I've learned is one, I guess I learned coursework isn't as crazy as people made it seem like at first. I was like, so as like, Dr. Turner said that, the coursework is easy, and I would agree. Like, it's not always that easy, but it's like it ain't the worst thing either. I will also say another thing that's mind blowing to me is just the like opportunity, I think. And just especially going to a school like mine that I'm at, a Big Ten, it is a like, research one. It's just that the opportunities just flow. They really just flow. It is so many things that you are able to do. Always take advantage of, everything that you possibly can. But I would say the biggest thing that mind blow me, oh we, and I hate to say this, but like people that got PhDs aren't always smart either. As in, like, you will be surprised at how many people do not have the common sense. I mean, knowing the books, the stats, I mean, that is good. Like, that's cute, that's great, that's wonderful. But a lot of people lack the common sense. As in, like, so you telling me you have been studying this stuff for years, but you are still being a like racist. I mean, really?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for real?
Yeah.
This what we doing?
Mhm.
So that was mind blowing to me is I would say the politics
Yeah.
and how a lot of programs try to advertise as not being political and oh, we support all the students. That is just a bunch of heeba jeeba. It is what it is. Like it's just a bunch of mess.
Yeah, you're right.
So that was mind blowing. If I'm being
Yeah.
100% real, is the politics, the racism, and the lack of common sense
Yeah.
is just like wow.
Yeah. Because even you being in the doctoral program now, of course, having a wife going through it, it's still got to be some shocking things that have hit you in these last couple of years where it's like, wow, this is kind of crazy. I never would have thought this 2 years ago. I would be seeing this. What have you seen?
Yeah, we've had some really so I love the cohort model of learning, right? Because that becomes, very familial, and we get to have, some pretty raw conversations, right? Because, there are days where we like each other, there are days where we want to throw things at each other, right? Like it is what it is, right? Like, my wife always says, family and fish start to stink after 3 days, right? And it's one of those things that was like when we get together, we're awesome. But if we rub each other the wrong way, like it starts the feud starts, right? So one of the things that was the biggest takeaway for me was being willing to let that armor down and lean into some of those conversations for me, right? Because I have some of my own beliefs. I have some of the baggage that I carry from my time in the military and my upbringing. In the Midwest, my family is a lineage of factory workers and farmers. Like half of them don't understand what I do for a job. It's one of those things where I really, I was talking with my mom. I love her to death. But when I told her I was going back for another degree, she's like, "Don't you have two already? Like, what?"
Right. Don't you got to know
It
school?
was one of those conversations, right? Um, so it just really being able to be vulnerable with another group of adults and be okay with me at the same time. And I will say the coursework is coursework, right? But I am a OCD perfectionist that everything has to be at a right angle and my grade point average matters to me. And I tell you what, my first year I had to take a statistics class and I struggled,
Yeah.
absolutely struggled with the different concepts. And it was on a condensed schedule. So it was like drinking out of a fire hose. And I caught a B plus in that class. And I literally went to the student handbook and looked up the academic probation section of the student handbook because I was like, oh, they can't be having no doctoral student up in here with a B plus, right? Like
Oh,
I was so self-critical, right? Because I'm thinking that everything has to be perfect. Like you've got to be a 4.0 student. You got to be doing all of these things, right? And that's just me being, being so self-critical and so, so judgmental of self that I believe I have this image of what a successful doctoral student's supposed to look like. And it got yucky for me. And when it got yucky, I had to be okay with it getting yucky. And that was really kind of like my come to Jesus moment was I can get through this and it's not going to be perfect.
yeah.
And it's still going to be a huge accomplishment.
That's correct. That's correct. That's awesome right there. Yeah. And I mean, of course, both of y'all about to get into the meat of it. And, as my great friend Dr. Goins said, the best dissertation is a done dissertation. Like, that's it. Just getting it done, and there's going to be some things wrong with it. I tell people in my program, I got a C in one of the classes. Um, I was like, oh, okay. Because at the end of the day, I still got done. Now, dude, I wish I would have did better. I was butting heads with the professor. We just but it was just like, look, I'm done with this because I know what the end game is going to be. So, very proud of you both, especially just the realness of this conversation, because these are the things that's going to help people before they get into the programs and even while they're in the program. That let that guard down, realize that not everybody's going to understand your journey, but you're still going to have to do it. It's great stuff. Great stuff. Like I said before, we're here on the Doc Chat, future Dr. Askew, future Dr. Ben, and they are dropping this great knowledge on their life as doctorate student. Go ahead and tell them hello if you're checking us out there in the comments. We appreciate you. And what I want to make sure people realize is that, yes, as Dr. Reed said, and future Dr. Askew said, that common sense is not so common. It definitely is not. So we have about 15 minutes to go. I want to give y'all both some time to really give y'all heart right now on the next generation of doctorate student before they jump into it, before they apply. What would you tell them, and what would you say they should know before they get into this journey? Starting with Dejanay.
Yeah, great question. Now, since I'm in it, I think I can finally speak on this, right? I would say, I think, first of all, know what you really want to do, because if your heart is not in it, then you're wasting your time.
Real.
Know what you want to do, have a passion for what you want to do. Also, what I would recommend before getting into this journey, taking some time off. I know some people go straight from undergrad in. That's just something that I didn't do, something I am glad that I didn't do, because I feel like that I needed to grow really just as a person first. Because if I would have came from straight undergrad to here, I really don't think I could do it, because I would be a hot mess. So I feel like that I needed time to kind of just go through life a little bit and just kind of figure it out. So I would recommend like taking some time off, then maybe getting a master's and maybe working and just doing things like that.
Mhm.
Also, think about your funding. Like if they can't pay your tuition or something, then don't go to that school. Do not go to that school.
Thank you.
Try to find a way to get it funded.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing I would recommend too. Well, this is for more so first years, but get your mental health together. If you know you got anxiety, depression, all of that stuff, it's only going to accelerate that once you're in the program,
Mhm.
and it will unfold up in different ways. So what I recommend folks do is, if you know you struggle with your like mental health, is to get that together and start good habits too. That if it's possible, like have a good schedule for like yourself, as in just be able to put yourself on, so just on a schedule without people telling you to do it. But I would
Mhm.
say that my biggest thing is just to make sure you know what you want to do and have a passion for it, but also like get your mental health together. That is so important.
That's huge.
And get that funding too.
Get that.
That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Get that bag. That's for real. Get somebody to pay for it, please. Future Dr. Ben, the family man, the military man, full time work man. Uh, I mean, I know you got some dimes to drop here for some folks that are looking about getting in this journey or who are in this journey. What would you tell them?
No, absolutely. And Deja, everything you hit was spot on, right? Like if I was not squared away in my mental space, I would not be able to show up in this space as a doctoral student and do the deal. Um, those boundaries that we talked about a little bit earlier are super important, right? Like you have to figure out what your non-negotiables are going to be. And I think through doing a little soul searching and looking at that process for yourself, you can figure out, if your non-negotiables in certain areas are so strong that you can't make space on that plate, then maybe this is not the right time. It's not that you can't do it, but maybe this is just not the right season in life to do it,
That's good.
right? Um, I did my undergrad while I was on active duty, so it traveled with me. I did my graduate degree after I got out on my Montgomery GI Bill, and then it was almost 10 years before I got into my doctoral program, right? So because I graduated with my master's in 2013, and then went into my program in 2020. So it was a 7-year gap between formal school for me. And that doesn't mean that I wasn't doing, professional learning and different things in that interim period, but there's a difference between doing things for work and doing things in a classroom.
That's right.
And it's everybody's journey looks different. And I've been fortunate that, with my undergrad being on active duty, my graduate degree being on the GI Bill, and now my doctorate being on the post 9/11 GI Bill,
Wow.
I haven't had to pull student loan. Right. Like I've been extremely blessed to be able to do that. And the post 9/11 even gives me a bonus because they pay my mortgage too while I'm a full-time student. So I get my tuition paid and I get that basic housing allowance.
That's
So
in the bag right there, folks.
I'm squared. I just got to keep the grades up, right?
That's right.
But I think the biggest thing that I can impart to somebody that's thinking about this or looking at this is some introspection, right? Some soul searching, some figuring out, do you, Deja said some things, the passion and know what you want to do, but are you internally squared away to be able to start this journey, right? Like, are you body, mind, spirit, soul, like, are you all squared away on all fronts? Because when you start this journey, if anybody's seen, Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or any of that, right? Frodo is very different at the end than he was at the beginning. Same with Bilbo, right? They're very different at the end than they were at the beginning.
Yeah.
And those are analogies for real life, right? Like we change through processes. And if you're not squared away, that change can really have a negative impact on you. And I think that's huge, and, just if you don't know that it's for you, contact the institution that you're interested in and go sit in half a class. Get a taste for it, right? Like you got no skin in the game at that point. Just ask if you can observe, right? just go get a taste for it. It's not scary.
That's right.
It's as scary as you make it.
That's right. I mean, that's why we have the show here, the Doc Chat, because they want to give you something that you can roll with. I'm telling you, I'm proud of these two right here. You're doing out some great stuff there, Dr. Whitty. I appreciate you. The people will discourage you. It's just one of those things to where you have to know deep down, I want to do this. I want to get this done. And I'm telling you, they're going to get it done. So as we go ahead and we're looking at wrapping up, go back to Dejanay. This Doc Chat going to be on YouTube and LinkedIn for everybody that doesn't know. In 5 years, you're going to go back, you're going to look, you're like, I remember I was on it. I remember I was talking about. If you could see yourself 5 years from now with that doctorate degree done, what do you want to do? Because I believe you don't really want to possibly do the traditional possible professor route. What's the ultimate end game for why you say, I want to get this doctorate and do this with it?
If I'm being honest, I think about my lifestyle. I don't necessarily always think about a certain role. I think about life. I think about purpose, calling, but also impact. That I feel like I was called to change systems. So wherever that will lead me is where that I will go. That could be policy, that could be faculty, that could be administration, that could be consulting. It's just that for me, that I see myself being more so of that kind of celebrity scholar where I am speaking all the time. I'm always traveling. I am writing books. I am publishing a lot. I just see that being my end goal. But I also just again think about my lifestyle that I like to live a calm, happy life. I don't want my whole life to be about working. So I know that more education comes more money, and with more money comes more freedom over your time, which is something a lot of people do not have. Mm-hmm. And that's something that this will grant me, right? Is having a freedom to do what I want, to work from home, to work from Rome. I mean, you could do it all. Oh. So I just see myself being kind of that heavy hitter, that new face, that person that's gonna transform a higher ed. Absolutely, that will be me. I'm big on changing systems, changing narratives. I want to stop racism. I just want to stop hate overall, stop hating ourselves, stop hating others, and just change the way that higher ed operates.
I love it. I love it. Future Dr. Ben, 5 years from now, you're sitting there, kids are about to go off to college, but you and your wife both got them doctorates now. What is your end game? What do you see it?
So there's a couple of wrinkles to that. I would say the first one is just showing my boys what success could look like. It's not the only path, but what success could look like if they chose to get an education. So that's super important to me because, there weren't a lot of avenues for me as I was growing up. That's part of the reason why I joined the military, to create that channel for me to get an education, because it wasn't going to be there other ways. But really, my inner passion is to teach, train, and mentor, right? And to do that, I've got to have all of the credentials, right? So that way I can be trusted. I know what I'm talking about. But at the same time, I see a critical need in local government. And by taking, being in a program that, it encourages scholarly practitioners, I can take everything that I'm learning in the classroom and I can bring it back to the world's largest municipal government, and I can put it into play. I can move pieces around. I can take theory and mash it up against practice, right? And that's one of the things that, may be lacking in academia, right? We all know the faculty members that, went straight through and all of a sudden they've been teaching for the last 25 years, but they've never set foot outside that classroom, right? They live vicariously through the students because they don't have any of those life experiences themselves. They just have their academic world, right? And I've got the best of both worlds. I can grab the theory, I can go out here to practice land, I can push them together, and then I can go back to the classroom and say, yeah, that theory is great on paper, but here's where the holes are,
Nice.
right? And there's not a lot of places, that allow for that. And my department is behind me 100%. They give me the latitude to bring things in and be a change agent and look at bureaucracy through a different lens, right? So that really for me is what drives me in creating that fire in folks that don't really know what public administration is or what local government does, and get folks excited about being change makers to come into that pipeline, because there's going to be a critical gap. The boomers are going to retire. We lost a lot of the coming generations into private sector, nonprofit land, different things, right? Local government needs a succession plan. We need a backbone so that way we can continue to be there for the people.
That's excellent. Absolutely excellent. And we see you once again, Dr. Woody. We appreciate you. I'm telling you, you have to have a plan. And that's why I'm so glad that they're on. They're so glad they're talking about this. And this is what I'm here for. I'm here to put that buzz in my mentee's ear to let them know, like, have that plan and realize that dream doesn't have to be very far fetched, because if you're doing it now, if you're starting to walk through those doors now, go ahead and keep walking through it, because we need people to be different. We know a lot of people living that publish or perish life right now, where, yeah, like Ben said, they're just in that, what they call ivory tower, and they're just happy being there. We get it. They got to crank out some more articles, got to crank out some more books. They got to do what they got to do to stay there to get to that full professor. That's dope. That's your world. But the world to being doctor is so much bigger than that. It is huge right now. It is absolutely huge. And I know both of y'all are going to go that way. I know Brother Tim, he's going to go that way, because we need y'all in those spaces. We definitely do. So we appreciate y'all so much. So Dr. Dejanay Askew, that's what she's going to be very, very soon.
Yeah.
Tell us where people can find you if they want to connect with you. If there's some doctorate students or prospective people that are interested in contacting you, how can they reach out to you?
You can reach out to me on my LinkedIn, so you could just message me. Also, my email, it's daaskew@iu.edu. I have a website too. It's just DejanayAskew.com. You can go on there and see some of my work. So yeah, but really just for the purposes of this video, just shoot me a DM on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Ben, where can we find you at? Dr. Ben. That's what we're going to call him. That's what he's going to be. Where can we find you at?
I am 100% on LinkedIn. That is where you can find me. The hashtag that's below my name, Vets in Local Government. If you type that in, you will get a whole feed of nothing but Ben.
That's excellent. Absolutely excellent. I'm loving what you're doing on Saturday mornings too. Keep that going. That's showing the journey. I absolutely love that. And the vlogs, Dejanay, we need to see them. So every time you go somewhere, I want to see the vlogs. I want to see where you at. I want to see what you're doing. We absolutely love it. And thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you, Solomon. One more time, we appreciate you. These are the great leaders right here, Dr. Dejanay and Dr. Benjamin. They're those great leaders of the next generation.
I close with just one thing.
Yep.
I just wanted to say, I think a big part of being a doc student too is to not compare yourself. We hear about imposterism all the time. I'm telling y'all, if you stay on your journey, you worry about what God has for you, and you stay in your lane, like literally everything else just falls into place. It's literally like magic. That's the best advice that I could ever give.
Dr. Ben, quick tip, you will leave.
Grit, perseverance, and determination. If you're willing to roll up your sleeves and do the work, you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish.
That's excellent. We're here on the Doc Chat. We appreciate these great doctor students being with us. Make sure you check us out on Thursday nights. And until next time, everybody, we want to say peace out. Thank you for all the commenters, and we'll see you next time.